Guys, interesting morning setting up here, Jim. I was keeping a list of the number of companies that have raised guidance today: Pfizer, Under Armour, Cummins, DuPont, CVS. But it does sound like you think this inflation story is spooking some, at least.
I think so. There are two stories that I think are really bothering people. One is that maybe there's so much CapEx in the semiconductor industry that prices will soon roll over. I know that that is something most people are not thinking about, but people who are really focused on semis are saying, listen, when you see Taiwan semi spending this much, when you see Intel, Pat Gelsinger somehow in a couple weeks' time has become the deacon. I'm sure that some of the people who are in that industry are not happy about that. But he's making it sound like there's going to be, let us set 1,000 foundries bloom, and that would be very bad for the semis. Let's not forget that they're historically are their own worst enemy when they start overbuilding. I don't think they are, but this is the theme. And the second theme is that you just go listen to DuPont, to Ed Breen. He's so fabulous. It's a great quarter, but there are, if you read the release, you'll see inflation shortages, inflation shortages. David, when we hear inflation and shortages, we're not waiting for the Fed. We're just selling. I think it's premature.
You do? I
do.
Chips, shortages.
But it's not good, Ed.
No,
it's not a good
sorts
narrative.
Of shortages. Commodities. Up,
well,
no matter what you look at.
Steels and the pipelines are the strongest groups. Do you want to be led by the pipelines?
I don't know. I just continue to wonder. I mean, the yield today is actually falling a little bit on the 10-year. Right. We're right around 1.6, I guess. You're not concerned about inflation?
I think that inflation can take care of itself. We need...
What does that mean?
Well, because a lot of the inflation that you see at a Clorox, say, is from the superstorm Uri.
So it's for the underlying plastic that all their products are going in, or what?
Build all our plastic.
Which we had, and of course, we talked to Dow last week. And
yeah, and I think that if you look at the Gulf, that is our plastic belt.
Chemical. Yeah.
Nobody really went down. We should have done many stories about it. Everybody should have. Carl, the fulcrum of inflation, I know everyone wants to say it's lumber, but that really is tariffs. I know a lot of people that want to say that you're seeing inflation through steel, and that's true. Steel's doing very well. But principal inflation is plastic. And those plants, they did not batten down the hatches before that storm came. So even though they claim that there's 30% of their capacities cut, those plants are shut. And then, of course, semiconductors, it's because of just in time for us versus just in case for the Chinese. They have the chips. The Chinese have the chips. There's no shortage in China.
Yes.
Just here.
Yeah. Jim, B of A did some work on this yesterday, looking at the number of mentions of the word inflation in corporate earnings calls. It's up 800% year on year, and it typically leads CPI by about a quarter, B of A says. But net margins are at a record. And even Cummins today talks about higher input prices, but they raised their guidance on EBITDA margins.
Ed Breen, too. I mean, he raised his numbers more than you would get from the first quarter. And most importantly, DuPont is saying, look, we're going to be able to cover all of the costs and more. But, David, when you hear that, you start saying to yourself, wait a second, who's paying? Who's paying for Tyvek price going up? Who's paying for the semiconductors that they have going up? Who's paying? Is it you? Is it me?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
It's us.
I think it is.
It is.
So I come back to the question, why are you not concerned about inflation?
Because inflation can be overridden by more manufacturing, by plants. People can crank.
It's going to be a short-term phenomenon.
There you go.
You are praying in the chapel of Jerome Powell.
I like that. I am in the church of what's happening now, as the late Mark Haney would say.
I remember that
right
very
now,
well. That's kind of what I was playing.
I am in the pew. I'm listening to Chairman Powell, who, by the way, can I just say a little notice, has said, look, we got to redo community reinvestment. Minorities are not getting any money. I mean, it gets buried in some little story. This guy is a revolutionary. I mean, he's not Che Guevara.
Okay, yeah.
He's not Che.
He's not Che. He's not Castro either.
No, he's not Castro.
Okay.
He's not Lenin.
Okay.
But he's a little bit leaning toward that side than he is toward what we used to have.
He's leaning towards being a Marxist, is what you're saying.
I am saying that he's trying to make our society more equal.
Okay.
David, there's such a thing as equality. And just because you want it does not make you a Marxist.
No, you're absolutely right. And it is underlying a lot, Carl, of the policies that we see from the administration and from the comments that we hear from the Fed chairman in terms of trying to right that balance that has been so off balance and continues to be, of course, and we talk about it all the time for years here.
Yeah.
In terms of in terms of income inequality, especially.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.